So Pauline Hanson has united Australia. Who would have thought, of all the politicians during this time of upheaval, that Pauline Hanson would be the one to bring a cross-section of the community together? And I mean, I'm talking about the mandatory vaccine issue. And if you haven't seen Pauline, she put out a little short video, very simple video, just saying that, you know, at the end of the day, she has no problem with the vaccine, but really it has to come down to a matter of choice for people, whether they want to take it or they don't want to take it.
I heard the news today about the PM wanting to introduce a mandatory vaccination for COVID-19 for all Australians, or at least he wants 95% of Australians. Well, I tell you what, I'm not happy about this.
And this was in response to Scott Morrison saying that, you know, they will make the vaccine as mandatory as possible. Now, I know that he's maybe walked back those comments a little bit, but that kind of sparked off this debate around, you know, vaccines and if they should be in fact made mandatory for things to go back to normal. And there is a lot of people who at this point are willing to just kind of go down this path because they don't see any other way out of it. And the reason that they feel like this really has nothing to do with what they might individually think. Some of these people might be for autonomous free choice in any other normal circumstance. But for this particular issue, they've gone with the option of let's make it mandatory for everyone so things can get back to normal. And what I want to explain is the reason that people feel like that is because the government, okay, medical authorities have shaped this whole coronavirus experience around we can only get out of it with a vaccine.
It'll be the absolute ticket to get back to some sort of normal society and the things that we all love and enjoy. So,
you know, if you make that the only goalpost, and if you make that the only way that people can see through this thing that we're going through as a community, a lot of people who, you know, have fear put into them will feel like, yes, we will go along with anything. And I think what a lot of the people that are against mandatory vaccine use are saying is that, you know, no, they won't necessarily not take the vaccine. Okay, they're just against the idea of making it forced. And the reason they're against the idea of making it forced is because you're making people put something into their body that they don't want to have in their body. You know, we live in a world of my body, my choice. Okay, we live in a world where we think that we can control the types of treatments that we have, the types of decisions that we make, especially related to our health. We live in that kind of world. And we are facing a situation where the government is saying we've ordered 25 million shots of this and everyone has to take a jab or you can't go back to normal life.
No jab, no play. So we will be seeking its most widespread application, as we do with all important vaccines.
And we have to contrast what they're doing with what they're saying with this vaccine and what they were saying about something like hydroxychloroquine or hydroxy. You know, in that scenario, we had a situation where the government said, no, you don't have a choice whether you want to take this medicine or not. You're not allowed to. And in this scenario, you have a situation where the government's saying, no, you don't have a choice whether we're going to give you this medicine or not. You have to take it. See, in both those instances, the government and medical authorities have chosen for you what the right path is. You know, as an individual, you really had no say in what you could do. And that causes a serious issue and a serious debate to take place because, you know, should someone be allowed to take hydroxy if they want to? Okay, if they want to take it, if they get the virus and they think, oh, this is the best shot right now, especially when there's no vaccine right now, should someone be allowed to take that drug to potentially save their lives? Or should, when the vaccine is available, the government be allowed to just make everyone take the drug when they don't want to? Because the reason they don't want to is because, one, they might be anti-vaxxers, okay? Two, there might just be people who are like, oh, this whole vaccine thing is rushed. Okay, it hasn't been through a year or 2 years or 3 years of rigorous study. See, something like hydroxy has been in the community for 40, 50 years. Okay, and already during this time, there's not multiple countries using it.
It was very difficult to do a randomized trial of something which we say may benefit. So randomized trial was not possible. So We looked at the data from these observational studies as well as from the case control studies, and what we found that it may be working. So therefore, and we also found that there were no major side effects except nausea, and that was from the Indian Pharmacopoeia Commission results of all the people that were being monitored for hydroxychloroquine.
There's lots of countries, even states within America, where people are allowed to have it administered to them. So that's a drug with a proven track record. Now I know it's not specifically made for this coronavirus, but you have people in the medical field saying that there's benefits to taking it.
I can also reveal that St Vincent staff are currently actively being recruited to take part in a clinical trial to see whether hydroxychloroquine can prevent healthcare workers from contracting COVID-19 while they treat.
With this vaccine, on the other hand, we really only have a few authority figures and a few medical figures and just the science fraternity within the UK and within the West saying that, yeah, this is the way to go. This is the drug. This will be the one. But deep down, they know that they can never be 100% sure. Okay? Deep down, they know that until an entire country is on this thing and they can observe every type of person on this drug, we won't know for sure if it's safe for everyone. Okay? It might be, and they would do their best to make sure that it is. But there is that element of the unknown, and here we have the government saying that they're going to get 25 million doses, everyone lines up, gets a jab, otherwise you can't go back to normal life. So really you're being injected with something that no one's 100%, I'm saying 100% certain on. And with even the vaccine, you can't ever be 100% because there will be side effects for some people. That time to make sure that safety nets are in place hasn't occurred. And this is why you have this concern within society, and I think it's rightly so. And the people who are resisting and who are pushing it back against the government, they serve a very important purpose. Because of people like this, it means that the government will be more rigorous, okay? They'll do maybe more testing. They'll be more careful in how it's administered. They might do a few further studies. And you have to juxtaposition this with what's happening in other parts of the world. See, even in Wuhan, without a vaccine, without any of these kind of things, they've kind of gone back to a sense of normalcy. Okay, you've maybe seen some of these videos like this in Wuhan right now. Yeah, sure, there's a threat of the virus still there in the community, but there is a sense of normalcy. And this is just not in Wuhan, it's in other parts of the world as well. It's also like this in my home country of Sri Lanka. There is a bit of normalcy there in society. And that's not to say that the government doesn't want a vaccine. These governments are looking for vaccines and they're working hard as well. But they haven't created that atmosphere of it's vaccine or bust that our governments have created, because they kind of put themselves in such a situation where it's hard to walk that back.
Point, we will not be returning to normal because there will be no vaccine in the weeks ahead. Some argue even in the months ahead. It is a long way off. And unless and until that vaccine is developed and then administered to every single Victorian, we will have to live with and embrace a COVID normal.
So, they have to kind of drill it into people in such a way that it is mandatory, because they've made the restarting of their societies based around this concept of everyone is on the vaccine now. Okay? Now, we have to accept that the intentions of our government is good. We have to accept that the people that are working on this, the medical institutions, their intentions are primarily good. So based on that, a lot of people will trust these institutions and they will trust the government. But that alone doesn't guarantee that this vaccine they're giving us is 100% safe and 100% guaranteed to stop this virus.
Well, that again depends on the vaccine. Some vaccine, the benefit outweighs the risk, and some vaccines, in my view, the risks clearly outweigh the benefits. Now, all vaccines have side effects, like any medicine. Anytime you take a tablet or a drug or a vaccine, there's the risk of side effects. And occasionally, that risk is severe. The side effects, severe side effects can happen. Governments wouldn't have vaccine damage injury compensation programs if they didn't acknowledge that there was a real risk of serious side effects, albeit rare. There is an additional problem, is that we're very uncertain about the long-term effects of vaccines. They have a profound effect on the immune system, and we're adding more and more and more to the schedule. And we know that vaccines can cause autoimmune diseases. We know that vaccines can cause allergies. We don't know what sort of problems they may be building up for the future. And so we should be more cautious.
And that's why the community is rightly concerned. Now, will I take the vaccine? Yes, I will probably take the vaccine. Would I have taken hydroxy if I got sick and I had a choice? Yes, I probably would have. But that's me. That's my choice. But when it comes to everyone else, you know, people don't have to do that. I don't think these people should be forced to take this vaccine. What will happen is when this vaccine's available, everyone that wants to will take it. Okay? Everyone that wants this vaccine will take this vaccine. And even if they don't take it, they might actually give it to their families, their parents, you know, their loved ones, because they're in a more precarious situation. But would you give this vaccine to like young children, you know? A healthy person, would they take this vaccine when it's already kind of shown that you can get COVID and, you know, you can recover from it without a vaccine? So why would you just go inject yourself with a vaccine when you can just have a natural immunity to this thing? So all of these things, you know, forces in the individual to put a lot of faith and a lot of trust in government and in health authorities. Both, on numerous occasions, have failed people.
And I'm just telling you out there and the PM, I will not have it. You will not force me to have it. It will be my choice what I do. What is going to be your decision?
Yeah, again, back to Pauline Hanson. It's great seeing people get behind her. I think Pauline makes a lot of valid points a lot of the time. She's one of these politicians who a lot of people don't like, and they don't like her for the way she speaks and the way she articulates herself. But there's a lot of truth to a lot of the things that she says, and this is something that I didn't understand when I was younger. You know, my first memory of Pauline Hanson was her coming to, I think, Dandenong Town Hall in the 90s, and someone threw eggs at her because, you know, that was during the very kind of all the tension around race and around her comments regarding Asia, the Asian region. And that was my first introduction to Pauline Hanson. But since that time, if you actually listen to someone like Pauline, even if you don't agree with what she says, the things that she says are relevant in the sense that they spark the right kind of community debate, the right kind of questions and the right kind of discussions that we should be having as a community. If we just leave it to everyday politicians like a ScoMo or a Andrews, everything they say comes with a angle which includes political spin. So we're not really sure if they genuinely feel this way or they're just doing this because a focus group said, you know, this is the best approach to get most people on board. Really, that's not where we should be moving as a society. We need more people just kind of saying what they think and saying what they feel. Sometimes those things will be outrageous, sometimes it'll be offensive. It will always lead the discussion in the right direction. And I think Pauline is doing this, and people getting on board with Pauline Hanson at this time, you know, for the conventional politicians and people like that who have this very kind of watered down message, it's dangerous because more people will be exposed to Pauline's other ideas as well. And, you know, she deserves a lot of credit for being out there like this. Thanks for watching, guys. I have a YouTube channel as well where I post some content that's more ranting about US election stuff, so you can follow me there as well.
Introduced no jab, no play.